Hey,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Reality Report. Today I got a special guest, somebody I know intimately, and we'll get into that, and he'll get into that as we go. The world knows him as Poppa Chubby. I know him as Teddy, Theo, Big T, some other names that we've heard growing up. But it gives me great pleasure to bring in my cousin, my man, like I said, my blood, Mr. Poppa Chubby himself, Mr. Theodore Horowitz. What's happening, cuz?
Addo, hey, listen, they're doing a great job on this podcast. I've been watching the episodes you're doing, and you're covering some great stuff. And like I told you, you could be the next one. This.
Thank you, Ted. That means a lot coming from you. You know, I actually started just messing around, and this is I'll go right to you. A lot of people don't want to hear me talk shit, but I just started doing this. I didn't think I was going to like doing it, and it was originally just like a, and became therapy. And then I was just talking sports at first, and I stopped, say, like 8 years ago. Then when I came back last year, unfortunately, people wanted to hear more other stuff like, hey, what'd you do for a living, construction, and then it led into other things. But it is what it is. Your journey's your journey. I have had a journey. You have a journey, and we're going to get into that right now. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go back in some time here. You
Yeah.
got me?
Yes.
So you got me, bud? All right. So what I'd like to do, Ted,
I'm your cousin Teddy.
that's right. All right,
You're
Teddy.
good.
It's fucking weird for me. But anyway, Teddy, um, let's talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, where you were born and what borough were you born in? How, and at what age did you move to your next borough?
We can talk about that. I was actually born in Manhattan at Manhattan Doctors Hospital in 1960, March 31st. My parents lived in the Bronx, and then when my dad died, I moved to Flushing, Queens with our grandparents, who we call Nanny and Papa, to 164th Street,
29th Avenue?
between 29th and 13th Avenue. You
Yeah.
were too young
Yeah.
to remember that. But even for a while, when you were really little, you lived in the Bronx with us. And then from there, we moved to the legendary 149, the 149, baby,
I got
149.
chills, man. I got chills. I swear to God. I swear to God.
And those were some times
Yeah.
coming up in the 70s. How we're all still standing and talking to each other is by the grace of God, man. And that's
Absolutely.
truth. That's
Yeah.
truth, bro. So here we
Teddy,
are.
yeah. Thriving and striving and thriving and surviving, I guess.
Yeah, man.
So you're born in Manhattan, Bronx as a young one. I know I
Yeah,
was told I lived in the Bronx with Aunt
yeah,
Marie and you for a while. And then
right.
I remember being told how Jackie, our cousin, fell out the window on 29th Street, 29th
And
Avenue.
I got blamed for it.
See, I was a baby. What happened?
Well, Nanny had we had a room Nanny called the front room, which was her
Okay.
sewing room that faced the front of the building. And Jackie was always into shit, man. God bless his soul. God rest his soul.
That's
But
right, man.
you couldn't tell that kid nothing. Nanny said, "Don't play by the window." And Jackie went up, put his hands on the screen, and fell out the window into a bush. Was fine. But of course, Aunt Janet and Uncle Jack came in and said, "Did you push him out the window?" And up until about 5 years ago, they asked me that again. Did
Are
you
you
push him out the
kidding?
window? No, no. And I said, no, I didn't push him out the fucking window. The little asshole fell out all by himself.
He was wild. Oh, yeah, I remember hearing the stories about that. Um,
Anyway, so I never pushed any of you guys out the window.
yeah.
I never even kicked your asses, even though I was bigger
No,
than you.
no, no.
It
You
was
got
my
wild. You were
job.
right.
It was my job to protect you.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
if I didn't protect you, I heard, "What's the matter with you? You're the biggest. You're supposed to look out for them."
That's right.
But
That's
you
right.
guys, you guys was something else, man. My four cousins, and then later Darren, who Darren really wasn't. He never,
He
he
was
he
young.
wasn't in our group. He was
Yeah.
much younger, yeah. But it was a great time to grow up, and we were tight. We were a tight family. We're like brothers, man.
I tried explaining to my people when they'd say, we get into, how we grew up. I explained it. I said, listen, there was 3 buildings that were attached. We had family controlled the wings. You had my wing, the middle wing, and your wing, Nanny and Papa's
That's
wing.
right.
And I said holidays were insane. Forget about holidays, card games that were being run out of the nanny's dining room, Papa, whatever. But we learned some of the greatest words in that house. We by the way,
I
we
learned how
understood.
to I learned how to curse in Italian.
Yes, we learned how to curse in Italian, but not speak Italian.
Yeah. Well, yeah, our grandmother. I'll tell you a little something
Yeah,
about our
go
grandmother
ahead,
Annie,
drop a nugget.
because we learned about her a little bit on genealogy.
Yeah,
So
do it.
Loretta, her name was Loretta Mequia,
Equia,
and she came from a little town outside of Rome,
got you.
which I visited. And her father was a very famous stonemason in that town. His name is still on a lot of stuff. There were 7 kids altogether, and only Nanny and her 2 brothers came over.
Right.
Okay. So now, because that was pretty common, the older kids didn't want to leave the old country, and the younger ones came over with mom and, dad. And because America was the land of opportunity, man, this was the land where you could make something. And I'll tell you what, when you go to Italy now, Italians still feel that way. They still love us. They still love America, and they want to come here. And anyway, so Nanny dropped out of school when she was 14. I always thought, I didn't know why. I found out if you were a woman in those times, you had to pay to go to high school.
Oh,
So they had no money. Meanwhile, the woman could do anything, man. She could finish the Times crossword puzzle. She spoke every dialect of Italian. She spoke French. There was nothing she couldn't do, nothing she could cook. And she was a brilliant woman. It was
that's great,
um,
Ted, that you shared
yeah,
that with me because
it's a, it's amazing.
so many people, I tried looking up some years. I couldn't even spell Met. I had no idea how to spell it, so I never knew what town she came from. I couldn't
Yeah.
I couldn't spell Mequia, and I had heard. You might know more than me. I had heard, and we're going to get into it. Your whole journey, but we're talking about this real quick. I had heard through mom, your Aunt Paula, your favorite, that Papa, she used to take him, and there might have been an issue with the changing of our last name. I don't know. She didn't know if it was accurate or not. I don't know. It might have been longer, or they shortened it. He was upset. She used to take him. She told, she used to drive him to wherever. But the only thing I know about Papa's childhood was being in an orphanage. We don't attend a lot of children.
Heavy story, man. Heavy
Yeah,
story with Papa.
yeah,
5 brothers.
right.
He was in an orphanage, in a Jesuit orphanage, and he was abused by the brothers. When he turned 14, story I heard was the brother that was abusing him
Just
beat the shit out of him and left the orphanage and never turned back. So, we got to give you know,
so
Papa. I mean, it's amazing shit, man. Because
survived it.
these people, yeah, but they took care of him. He never missed a day of work in his
That
life,
fucking guy was an animal.
ever.
So
Never missed a day. Get up at 3 a.m. and
Teddy, every
I'd be rolling in drunk off my ass, and he'd look at me and he'd go,
yeah,
"Unfucking believable."
fucking today, these kids today, I don't know. Remember?
Anyway, but here's what's fucked up, man. When he died, he worked his whole life, and he supported his family, and that was a
He did
great
what he had to do.
success.
He did what he had to do. Getting up 3:30 in the
Exactly,
morning.
exactly.
And I just remember fucking Saturdays and Sundays. I wanted to be there 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, as early as I could, because there was a table full of bakery goods, pastries, cookies. You
That's
remember?
right.
Remember he would. I mean,
Oh, I remember.
my God, Ted, you remember how much freaking bakery shit was on the table?
I figured that he must have had a Kumar who worked in a
There's
bakery.
no doubt about it. He had a gumata that had a bakery, or one of his friends because I remember
Right.
Manny from Maple Ways.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
I had years later, right? I just no big deal. I had just heard like on Thursdays, it was either Wednesdays or Thursdays, they used to Poppa, Harlem and all of that, whatever. A lot of the guys used to hold a meeting up above Maple Ways Bowling Alley, and some heavy hitters in that day. So he was well respected from a lot of different areas
Oh
of
yeah,
life, and he was a
Papa did a
quiet
lot of
man.
he did a lot of people favors.
Yes,
That was his thing. He'd do favors for people and they'd do favors for him. So
absolutely.
I think we learned that a lot from him.
Yeah, a
The
good heart
power
too.
the power of you build up goodwill and trust with people, and then you do something for them and they do
Yeah,
something for you. And
yeah.
that's how life should be, man. We look out for each other.
But the loyalty, I don't, I'm strong. I mean, to me, there's no, loyalty is everything. If I give you my word, I don't give a fuck what it is. If I told you I'm gonna paint your fence, and I'm not a painter and I would hate it. It would torture me to paint somebody's kitchen or fence. But if I said, oh, yeah, yeah, I said, joke with my friends. I tell them, listen, 24/7, you call me, but just don't ever ask me to help you move a couch. Just,
There you go. There you
anyway,
go.
all right, let's fucking around. Ted, so we're in this crazy but great, amazing family that we love so much, and we're all kind of fucking attached. All the cousins, I got two other brothers and then another brother later on in Florida, Ralphie. And long story short, Joey, my older brother, really always wanted to be. I even as a young one, not he looked up to you so much and would always want to be with you. I know that. I know that. Um, I'm not here to ask you about Joey or nothing, but you had something that and no being with my brother for so long and not being my guy, there wasn't many people that he would follow. He was a leader. He didn't talk much. He didn't threaten. He just did. He didn't believe in that. But with you, he wanted to be by your side, even from young to later in life, and then reconnecting. I want you to know that personally, and I know you know that. But you got any funny stories with Joey? You got any? Was he mischievous or was he a good kid?
Joey was, you could see it in his face, man. Joey had, look, man,
We can't
Joey had
talk.
a
Yeah,
hard
it's open book. We're open books.
he had to have a hard exterior because life was hard for him,
Right, you could
like it
touch
was
on
for
it.
all
Go
of us.
ahead.
But when you look at his face, you see the
Sam.
sweetness and
Yeah,
kindness
we
and heart. The guy was all heart. And when we were little, man, he was like my sidekick, man. He
yeah
was
we
my
we
baby
were
brother,
brothers
man.
to you. I mean, we were like little brothers to you. Not
You're
we
still
was it?
brothers to me, man.
No, absolutely.
And then I'll tell you this, even though we didn't speak, I kind of followed his journey throughout the years
Yeah.
and watched him transcend. I'll give you a story, man. And I'm just gonna be
Yeah, no,
blatantly honest here.
we got. Yeah, you have to be because there's gonna be a
When
lot of people
Joey
that
was
know.
young, got some trouble,
Yeah.
and he went to prison. When he was in prison, he wrote to me every week, and he said, "This sucks. I'm never coming back here again." And you know what? He never went back there again after that. He got out of it and he didn't fucking go back. He learned from his mistakes and he moved forward and he raised his son on his own. And his son, Jojo, who I speak to, is an amazing kid. All your kids are amazing, man. The last year they came to
I
meet
know.
me. And man, it was, first of
Agree.
all, they look like you. Oh my God. Freaking your son.
Vincent,
I think,
Antonio, Elizabeth,
oh my
Craig,
God, Craig
Jr.
did the spinning, and JoJo is
Is
the
Joe
spinning.
Stacy or
He's
Joey?
Joey.
You think so?
Joey. Joey. A little bit of Stacy, but Joey
Yeah.
to a T. To a T, man. So it was like, you know, it just blew my mind, man. So it's really nice. He was a great guy, man, and he finally got into a place in his life where he really sounded happy. And life is hard, man. But
Yeah.
I got to reconnect with him at the
I
end.
know he told me. Yeah. And you told me.
That was a beautiful thing. And
Yeah.
then I found out he passed away.
Yeah.
So at least we got that closure.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Let me ask you something. By the way, that was said beautiful. I mean that. I wouldn't say it. I was said eloquently, good and to the point, right to the point. I want to ask you something, Ted. So we come out of Flushing. you start to, we hit the teen, you hit your teenage years, and maybe
Whoa.
you start to feel your oats a little bit, is the word in the family. And I remember seeing you throw some shit, chairs, only if you got mad. Like if you got mad, run. And that's the truth. You had an extreme temper. I think unfortunately, it's a generation. It's a fucking curse. The DNA curse. If we explode, we explode, and I don't like if I flip. I know people would say you did this and that. I didn't remember. Like you get to that point, like you don't even remember what you did. But I remember a
Right.
few times, like, and if you snap, and it was probably deserved or whatever. But what I want to get to is this: the teenage years. I remember Flushing, and I can't think what age you started fiddling with the guitar. I used to play Christmas. It was just us in the family, and Aunt Marie, my dad everybody called her Sis, right? Used to say, and she was proud. She used to say, Teddy, come on, play the guitar, or whatever it was. And you used to play, but you weren't feeling it. You kind of felt like you were forced. But then I want you to tell, because I don't really know fully. When did you start realizing I want to play the guitar? Like you love the guitar. I know you liked the drums originally, I think. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to play the drums, but we lived in an apartment. So even playing the guitar was hard. But finally, I'll tell you one big moment for me was it was some holiday and your dad was there. Your dad had some soul, man. He could like
Yeah.
jam on the pots and pans and like play drums. He would do that sometimes. And like he could sing like Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh God.
It was great. So he says to me, play something. So I played You Are My Sunshine for him. And he started grooving to it. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, Uncle Joe likes what I'm doing. That was a big moment for me. I had to be about 14 or 15. I don't know, man. It gave me something to hang on to. We all need something to hang on to.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say music saved my life because, like so many of us, and where we grew up in Flushing, man, it was a bad scene, man. There were a lot of drugs, a lot of danger, a lot of people going to prison
Yeah.
and getting killed, and it kind of gave me I didn't want to fight anybody. That's the thing. I was a peaceful kid, but
Absolutely. But you
there
said
just
you wasn't.
came a point. I was a big kid, so
Yeah,
people wouldn't fuck
huge.
with me. And there came a point when I turned about 18 where I think I got into 100 fights in 2 years. And I fought anything and anybody. And then I just went, what the fuck am I doing, man? But then anger stayed with me
Yeah.
well into my 50s, man. I'll be honest with you. And it can be scary and it can be destructive. I have to say, I started calming down when I started realizing what was behind the anger, and what was behind the anger was fear. And it's always we're either coming from a place of fear or we're coming from a place of love with every breath and with every action. And when I could start to ask myself, what am I afraid of that I'm so angry? I started to get less angry, and I started to choose happiness and choose the light, because happiness is a choice. It's not something that just happens to us, man. We have to and it's hard sometimes, man. It's hard because life is not easy, man. Like I said, all we got at the end of the day, this is why your podcast is so good, because the two of us speaking together
Yeah.
brings a lot of energy to a lot of people. And maybe somebody's going to hear something and go,
Yeah.
"Oh
Might
yeah,"
help
it's
somebody.
going to
Yeah.
take something up in them. So it is therapy. It's therapy for you,
That's what I
and
found. Yeah.
you're doing service to everybody who hears you.
Well, thank you. And this is a special for me, especially like it's not normal like people tell you or watch my I usually they're probably saying shut the fuck up and let somebody else talk. I'm just like listening because it's true. It's so true. And not knowing, growing up, I was I always played ball, as you know, and then for all
Oh
that
yeah,
not knowing, I'm suppressing, and then you get I mean, all of a sudden something snaps and
you blow up, and it
uh,
doesn't even have to do with anything that happened.
no, I couldn't. That's what
And then all you have, anger brings regret. And that's okay. You don't have to regret it. All you have to do is be aware of what you can do now on a day-to-day basis, man. It's a day at a time.
yeah,
And that's all you can do. You'll live your best life a day at a time, and you try and be a better person today than you were yesterday. But I'll give you a great story, and I know you weren't just an athlete, you were a star athlete, man. You were a great
Wow,
athlete at
wow.
baseball, at football, man. I mean, I
Thank you.
remember watching you play, and your dad, I told my wife this, he was a great coach. He really was.
He was
He was
on me.
great with the kids.
No, he's
He
great with
knew
every
how
other
to,
kid. No, but he was
of
tough on me,
course,
but I
because he was
needed
your
it.
father. Yeah, no, look, he did what he had to do,
Yeah,
and you know that. You've
I
come to
love him.
peace
Yeah,
with
of
that.
course.
But I'm just saying, he didn't coddle the kids. He
Oh
got the
no,
best out of them, and
no.
he didn't take any shit from the parents. I
You would
remember,
know
well,
better.
he coached your baseball team, and he managed the baseball team. And for a while, he was trying to keep me off drugs, so he would take me with him to be a coach. And
Remember
if I was
you,
with him, I wasn't out screwing around. He didn't want me to go out. He didn't want the streets to get me.
right? Of
Unfortunately, there came a time where I just rebelled and I had to
course.
go. But when I coached your baseball team, a couple of times he made me umpire.
Oh God.
No one should ever have to umpire
Oh, I heard that is
a kid's
brutal.
baseball. Those parents were brutal. But I remember your father throwing one parent off the field. Get off my field or your kid's never playing again.
Well, that's funny you say that. So Teddy, you're like 14. You can't play the drums in Nanny's house, so you're messing around with a guitar. And then I start to hear, like, I don't know, probably I'm about 16 years old, maybe 15, and I start to hear friends of mine say to me, "Yo, I saw you, Teddy, Flushing kids that knew you, through me or us. I saw Teddy on Times Square on the platform playing the guitar." And people were putting money in the bucket, like how they do.
Yep.
And I remember the family, you better stop playing, Nanny Papa, you better
Right.
stop this shit,
They thought I
cursing,
was they
yeah.
thought I was begging.
Let's talk
They thought I
about
was
that.
begging.
Let's talk about that. How
They
that
thought I
started.
was begging, but I wasn't. I became a street musician, which is a time-honored profession, man. I took the music to where I could get paid for it. And I put my case down on the subway, and then instead of work, here's what I was saying. If you spend your life working for somebody else, you know the old story, the boss comes in and he sees the worker, he goes, "Hey, you see that Maserati out there?" And the worker says, "Yes, sir." And he says, "Well, look, if you work overtime all year again next year, I could buy another one. If you work for somebody else, you're making somebody else rich."
The people and your fans and people that want to hear from you and stuff and the story. But I got to tell you, man, for me personally, maybe I'm a little selfish right now, but this is helping me.
That's what I want. I want to
I,
help
I,
everybody. You're a human being.
I could get dark, it could get dark sometimes,
Of course, we all can.
and
We
when
all
those
can.
dark
Believe me.
times come, it kind of makes you want to go out and just revert to things that are
I know.
easy, and it's bad. It's not
Oh,
good.
yeah, I know.
It's that common saying, one day at a time. She says, in your case, I'm serious. She was very serious about it too. She says, take it an hour at a time. And then I found myself, when I needed to, I take it a minute at a time. And when you basically you slow things down. Don't worry about
That's right.
tomorrow, because tomorrow is not
That's right.
guaranteed to nobody. Worry about today,
No, sir.
because for most,
Yes,
tomorrow
sir.
might not ever come.
That's right.
And that's not it's not like to be doom and gloom. It's just about,
No, it's reality, man.
of keeping it, trying to keep a hold on it.
Right.
Don't let that ugly head hear its ugly self.
I go through the same thing, Craig.
Yeah. All right, now it's just all right. It's going through. I'm sorry, but whatever could have
No,
went wrong
no problem.
today went wrong, man.
No. We're here. We're all good. Believe me, it's not.
I know I feel
There's
bad. Your
no.
wife, maybe she's got shit for you to do.
No, my wife's out. She's went to see her daughter in Patchogue, and she didn't want me to go with her, so I
Oh,
just let
that's
her
a
fucking
nice
go.
trip from where you are.
She's been driving me crazy the last week anyway. So.
Hey, hold on. Thank God we're not on the air. But no,
Yeah,
no, I got to tell you that's some drive, right, from your house to Patchogue.
it's about 2.5 hours because she's gonna hit traffic. But she's got one daughter who lives out there, and she wanted to see her bring her Christmas presents.
Beautiful.
The other one lives by us. So
Mhm. Tell you,
it's
you're
a
middle.
nice
What do they
little
call
trip.
that area?
I'm in my
I saw that
valley.
post you put up with the Jewish guy holding the sign.
Oh,
Oh,
dude,
dying.
it's their world now.
Yeah, I heard there's a lot of Hasidics up that way. I mean, not that it matters. I'm just saying that's what I heard.
No, they took it over. They took it over. I will say they're not the best neighbors.
There was a time where I wouldn't even be able to fucking hated computers so much, Teddy, because I never used them in any walk of life, even construction. What I never used computers, but when the
I know.
COVID shit hit,
I know.
I had to try to learn, and that's what really got me the podcasting. Something to do.
But yeah. No.
I'm saying we're really playing on the train platforms in the city, whether Flushing, wherever, whatever train line, wherever you are, you were playing.
I was.
You
I
made
was.
it a business.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Well, I was a fucking mess. Okay. At that
Yeah,
point in my life,
we'll get into that
I
if you
was
want.
heavily addicted to drugs.
Okay.
I went on a methadone program. I couldn't get a job. So, but I still wanted to play. So I went out every day and I made my money. And then I got sick of it. I got to get off this shit. And I got off the shit. And then I moved to Manhattan. And I started playing around. And it wasn't an easy task, but I did it. I did what I had to do to move forward. And, again, by the grace of God, a day at a time, I was able to stay clean and I was able to go out and play my music. And I've been doing it now for 36 years. I figure I must have done something right.
And I remember you, Nanny and Papa's house, in the building. I remember
Yes.
probably, I'm going to say I'm about 18, maybe 20. And I remember you in the living room. We had like a little party. You had a little wedding in Nanny and Papa's living room. And I remember your
Yes.
friends.
My first wife, Karen Bell, who I'm still friends with to this day.
Really?
And yeah,
So
why not?
So around that period, you really started. Yes, I don't know if you were still hooked on. Yeah, you are. You probably still were on. Still had an addiction issue, but you were playing and you were starting to get
No,
maybe.
no. That
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. A little bit. Yeah, that was 1984.
Okay.
Figure out how I was 24. You had to be about 19 or 20,
17.
right?
I'm born in 67, 77. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I had gotten my shit together at that point.
Okay.
I wasn't doing drugs. I was clean. I was starting to play with different bands, but I still hadn't found my niche. I was still struggling, man. And I'll tell you what, I was struggling hard. I was broke all the time. I didn't have a bank account. I was living with my first wife in a one-room apartment, which was, I mean, for me, great, but I was struggling. And then somebody told me, listen, don't worry about making money. If you do what you love and put it out there, you'll always make money. And something hit home when I did that. And I started doing what I love. I started doing my own thing instead of just, again, playing for other people. And then when I started doing my own thing, it blew up. I started Poppa Chubby in 1990, and it blew up. In 1993, I had a major label record deal. Life changed. I got remarried. I had twins. Of course, that marriage didn't last either, but what are you going to do?
Can I go back to
Such is life.
something?
So,
Can I go back to
yeah,
something?
of course.
You said in 1990 you had your first major record deal. What?
1993,
Okay.
I signed with Sony OK Records, and I released a record called Booty and the Beast, which was produced by a very famous producer, Tom Dowd. And then after that, I met my second wife and got married and had kids. I moved to Brooklyn, Park Slope, Brooklyn, to a brownstone. And then from there, I moved upstate to Orange County to raise my kids. And then after a while, that marriage went by the wayside. Yeah, I didn't want to raise my kids in Brooklyn at the time if I had a choice.
And Park Slope was a beautiful, rich area. I mean, right?
It was, but the hood was 2 blocks away.
Okay, yeah,
and there were a lot of rapes and a lot of violence, crime. Yeah, man. Brooklyn's still weird, man.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
New York City's weird now. It's
Yeah, the
like,
whole fucking, you got one block.
right, where'd they think all the poor people were gonna go?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
that, who could afford to live in New York
Oh,
anymore?
no, no, they want you
Who could
out.
afford to live anywhere?
No,
Anywhere
and
now?
New York, period. Right. State of New
Right,
York. Be in a
right.
tent somewhere in the bushes. Go off grid.
If you're lucky, if you're
If
lucky.
you, yeah, because then they want their taxes for that too. Um,
Right.
so we covered that. I want to, I listen, man. I've kept you for a long time, but I want
I
to
got
ask
time.
you.
Don't worry about it.
I know,
All
bro.
right.
I remember that first CD and how proud everybody was, man. It was like after all these years of family, let me be clear to the people that are going to hear this. All the years of family, realizing, yes, he was good at what he did and would become fucking great, world known, telling him, there comes a time you gotta, just get a job, you gotta stop, and I heard that in other things in life, and Joey heard that, and Jackie heard that, but you heard it from the music thing, just, come on, you're never gonna make, but you would not take no for an answer. So that
Nope.
first CD was like earth-shattering to the Gatto family and to the Horowitz line and to the Flushing. It was like, wow. Whoever knew Teddy from Flushing, when that first CD popped, everybody, I had people come, he's got a record. Yeah. It was big.
It was weird. It was weird, man. And it's interesting. I heard, like I'm really into hip hop, right? So you remember when Snoop Dogg hit it big and somebody from his hood tried to kill him
Right. Yeah, I
just
like hip
because
hop.
he had made it. I got a lot of that too, man. I got a lot of people who like, fuck you, man. Like that kind of resentful shit from people I knew coming up. I even had one guy, I ran into him in a music store, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm Poppa Chubby." He goes, "You playing with Poppa Chubby?" "No, I
I
am
am
Poppa
Papa
Chubby."
Chubby,
And he went,
motherfucker.
"Fuck you, fuck you," like I wasn't.
Really? Well, he thought you were fucking impersonating
Yeah,
Papa
there's a lot
Chubby.
of weird reaction. Listen, man, it's the crabs in the barrel thing. If you want to move forward in your life, some people resent you because they'll see their lack of happiness. So, you got to stick to your guns, man. You got to not give up under any circumstances. Never surrender, never quit.
Well, yeah, giving up is very easy to do. It's one of the easiest things to do. Anything that maybe you're trying to obtain, because there's so many things you see, people you see that are wishing you well behind your back, or saying, I fucking hope he fucking gets hit by a truck, whatever. So you got people
Oh,
against
yeah,
you, and then the
absolutely.
spirit, and then of course the spiritual stuff is you got trying to rip you down. So you're fighting a lot of battles and you don't even realize it. It
That's
is what it
right.
is, and then you move on. You mentioned hip hop. I like hip hop, but I just like I'm an old school hip hop head. Like groups
Oh,
like
me too. That's what I'm
EPM,
talking. I
like
just, I
the
just
underground
use.
shit,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wu-Tang,
Me too. I used Snoop as an example because that's
yeah,
what
no, no,
happened. And you hear that from a lot of people who came from hard circumstances who made it. They're like, yeah, when I went back to my neighborhood, Mike Tyson, man.
absolutely.
Remember that Crip guy, that blood guy wanted to fight him and fought him, and Mike beat his ass.
Mitch Blood Green.
Yes, yes,
He jumped off
that
the
guy was a
car roof.
punk.
Remember, he jumped off the hood of the roof of the car,
And then Tyson beat him up in a
buried him.
clothing store, and he sued Tyson.
Did he?
Yeah, but he got it settled for like 20 grand or something. It was bullshit.
It was a cash grab because Mike was the man.
That was it. And the guy wanted publicity, and Mike beat the crap out of
Beat
him,
the
man.
balls off, beat the brakes off him, no doubt.
Don't get me started on
I know
Tyson,
you're
though,
a Mike
please.
guy. I know that. I know you are a Mike guy.
I am. I even forgive him for the Jake Paul fight.
That's your guy. That's all right, man. That's your guy. I got a
But
lot of people.
I still think he pulled his punches.
Yeah, we went over it. We saw that we talked about that video where you see he
Right.
can land the overhand right, and he pulls it. He doesn't throw it. He stops it.
And and at the end of the day, Paul's a bitch, and he's always going to be a
Oh, I can't
bitch.
stomach him. But
But
look at the money he's
he'll never get
making.
cred Yeah, you got to give him credit for
Man,
creating what he created.
great
You
promoter.
really do.
Yeah. Can't stomach
Great
him.
promoter, mediocre boxer,
Yeah,
and he hasn't fought anybody.
so
Tommy Fury put him away.
Tommy beat him. Yes, Tommy beat him.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tommy did beat him. Well, now they're saying, let's see if they're going to give him if he'll take a top 10 guy. I don't think he will,
right.
but we'll see.
I don't think
So
he will either.
yeah, I don't think he will either. But we'll see. So you make the first you become a I don't want to say a hit, but you're known now. You got a CD that's out, and you're now now I start to hear from others. You're on the road, and I have people that I whether I be working with or whatever. Somehow something would come up about music, and I say, yeah, my cousin's a guitarist. Yeah, who's your cousin? He's got a group called, not knowing how big you are. He's got a group, Poppa Chubby Band. That's your cousin? And before you know it, they're telling me, your cousin's huge. He's all over Europe. And Mikey Scap, the Scaparatus, Mikey Scap from the side block.
Yes.
I got a picture from some of the pictures from us. You know who asked you? Georgette Rubinetti, when I put that picture up yesterday.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so Michael lived down the
wow.
block, a few houses down in Scaparatus.
I liked her growing up a lot. And
Yeah.
Robin, too.
Robin, Ellen, Janet, yeah, Frank. I speak to Georgette sometimes on Facebook.
I'm still best friends with
Oh,
Eddie Camiolo.
you gotta be kidding me.
No, he's my best bud, man. I speak
That's
to him
great.
every day.
That's
I play with
awesome.
his band. Sometimes he's got a cover band he lives in Seacliff.
Really?
And I go out there and play with his band sometimes, yeah. And
That's
he was my
awesome,
first
man.
band, man. He was the first guy I was in a band with.
All right, so you got the CD, you're moving and grooving. I don't know if there's I don't know if I don't think you ever stopped moving, but then all of a sudden, I don't know, I think it was last September or the one because time flies by, you get all of a sudden this new album. It's like a resurgence. Like I don't know how many songs. Poppa Chubby Live. It seemed like it was a very big thing, label wise or whatever. But your new release to a new album after some time of you being on the road, you wind up cutting a whole new album. Like I think it was a year ago. How can you talk to me about that? All right, so Ted, I know you were on the road a lot after that. You always I used to hear you moving all over Europe. I used to get messages from mom, whoever was getting them. And then then we reconnected, thank God. And then you told me that I think it was a couple years back. You had like all of a sudden, boom, somebody wanted you to cut a new album again. Forget about everybody that always wanted you to tour at their places and all over freaking Europe. I mean, you're Russia. I mean, I don't know if there's a country you haven't freaking played in, but do you want to talk about that new album? What was that, like a year and a half ago? Or I'm just getting old, man. I don't remember anymore.
I haven't really stopped.
Oh,
I've continued to make records. I've made 36 records in my career. I was on the road for 35 years.
no.
But a year ago, I started having bad spine problems. So I had to have back surgery. And that put me out of commission. So now I'm just kind of coming back. I got a new record coming out on March 28th. I'm really excited about. And it's on Gulf Coast Records, which is a great label. And it's got a lot of special guests on it. Joe Bonamassa, who's a really big name.
Yeah.
And Chris Stone, Kingfish Ingram, Eric Gales. I'm really excited about it. And then I'm going to start doing shows again. So, but like I said, by the grace of God, a day at a time.
Right.
I just hope everything keeps going well.
It will, man. With the attitude and the way you got through what you just got through from the beginning on, what you were suffering with, and then to where you are.
Don't get spine surgery, but talking about that, your brother Joey had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
He lived in pain for a lot of years.
Yeah, he had four discs removed, and I remember when he woke up in the recovery room. Yeah, he felt terrible.
It's rough, man. When they start messing with your spine. But we get through it, and what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And we got that from where we come from. So, you rely on it whether you know it or not.
Ted, before I let you go, I'm on YouTube. I took a little break, and when we came back, we're still going to be on YouTube, but we're on this new platform, Patreon, and Patreon members only. So it's an app that people download, and there's 25,000 creators with different channels and whatnot. I have a couple questions if you could answer from a couple of my
Of course.
Patreon.
Be my
Okay.
pleasure.
One question is actually from Davey T from Boston. And he asked
Okay.
me to ask, and he's a avid fan of yours. He asked me to ask you, is Poppa Chubby ever coming to the Boston area? But he doesn't care.
Oh,
He'll
yeah.
drive. He'll drive 5
I'm
hours,
up
he said.
there. I'm up there all the time. I'm actually at a place called the Bull Run in Shirley, Mass, which is right outside of Boston on March 2nd. You know, so
Davey T, March 2nd.
yes.
Now you see, I gave him my word that if I found out you were in Boston, I would meet him there. So now I'll be in Boston
Yeah.
with you.
Well, I'm going to see you again, man, really
No, I
soon. I
know, but
know it.
I told him that if I don't know, but I'll ask him. All right. Thank you for answering
Yeah,
that, Davey. I hope you're
that'd
happy
be
to hear
great.
that.
Yeah, life is hard, man, but we get through. That's all you can do
Absolutely.
is
All right.
get
You
through.
ready? Are you ready for question two?
Yes.
This question comes from Anonymous. No, this question comes from Matt Sweeney. Matt
Okay.
says, Papa Chubby, did your years of addiction, because he was a lot of people would assume that there had to be times early when you were playing that you might have been high. We hear about, athletes playing high. How did addiction affect or not affect when you were playing? If you were high on stage, did it help or hurt?
I was never high on stage because I got
Wow,
clean before I became Poppa Chubby. But before I became Poppa Chubby, my addiction destroyed my life,
really?
destroyed my career. I sold all my shit.
Wow.
I sold anybody else's shit I could get my hands on. It made me become an animal. It made me become a person I never wanted to be, because that's the
Okay.
nature of addiction. That's
Okay.
what it does to us. And I wasn't responsible for that, but I became responsible for not being an addict. So that's what I could tell you, man, is that drugs don't, and I'm not talking about people who have a couple of beers or
Yeah,
smoke
I
a
know
little
what you're
weed.
saying. Yeah.
I'm talking about, you know, hard drugs don't make anybody a better anything. They really don't. You know, I'm sure everybody, I mean, there's a lot of people in the 70s who did a lot of blow and thought they were making great music, and then they listened back and went, what the hell is that? So I'm grateful that I got over a lot of that shit before I really started my life.
Okay.
Now the hard part is keeping it.
Yeah, that's right. But you're kicking ass, and with your new tour coming up, it's incredible. We're going to close it out. I'm going to ask you two quick questions, and I'm going to let you go. This one comes from north of the border. I got friends up in Canada, and they're
Nice.
huge fans of yours, and they're good men of men. Do you ever play in Canada? Ever? Toronto area, Niagara Falls area. Are you ever up
Oh,
there?
yeah. I've been up
Really?
there a lot, man, over the years. I've
Really?
been in Ontario, which is where Toronto is. I've been in Quebec, which is where Montreal is, or Montreal, as they say up there. Yeah, I've been up there. I'll get up there again. I'm probably gonna
You
get up
think
there in
so?
the summer sometime.
Yeah?
I hope so. Yes,
If you do, please let me know. I have an obligation up there as well.
I will absolutely let you know.
And the last one, I'm gonna let you go. I love you, man. I kept you so long. Who was this question's coming from Craig Gatto.
I
Yeah,
know him.
yeah. Who was your biggest inspiration? Because I was wrong. I always thought it was Jimi Hendrix, and I think I might have been wrong. Who was it?
Hendrix was a big one, but even earlier than that, my dad was a big jazz and blues fan, and
Right.
and when I was really little, he took me to see Chuck Berry, and Chuck
Wow.
Berry rocked my world. And I
Really?
remember it was at the Garden, and my dad had some connections who were backstage, and I was watching Chuck. I had to be about 7 or 8 years old, from the side of the stage, and I looked, and Chuck had on these tight polyester pants, and in the pocket was a big bulge. I said, Dad, what is that? He said, that's Chuck's money.
I like that. And from what I understand, Uncle Dutch had some friends. I mean, I know
He did, but
Floyd
also
Patterson was one of them.
that's right. But the thing was, Chuck always got paid in cash before he went on stage. So he just
Really?
take like 10 or 20 grand, put it right in his front pocket because that was the safest place for it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Last one. I know because to you, you're so used to playing with, what people consider names. But like you said, Joe Bonamassa. I mean, when I saw your video on Daryl's house, I was like, holy shit. I mean, I'm your cousin, and I know you play with big, but like I know like I asked you, my son asked me to ask you about Dio, Ronnie, and you said Ronnie was a sweetheart of a
Right.
guy.
He really was.
So there was a question that I saw somebody put out on YouTube, and I want to ask you just your opinion, and we're gone. Black Sabbath. I'm not saying you were a fan of them. Now I know.
Was.
Who do you think was the better lead man for Black Sabbath?
Ozzy Osbourne, hands down, man.
Really? And
It was a
and
different
you knew
band.
Ronnie.
It was a different band with Dio.
Okay.
It was completely different. But with
Educated.
Ozzy, the original Sabbath, man, those first like 4 records, I used to hang out around on 149th Place with my boombox and play Sabotage and Paranoid over and again on cassette at top volume until the neighbors would complain.
That's credible, Ted.
I grew up on that. I was weaned on that shit. Sabbath with Dio was a different story. It was a different band. It was like Van Halen with David Lee Roth or with Sammy Hagar. Sammy Hagar was a better singer, but it wasn't the same band.
So you would say Dio had more range than Ozzy?
Absolutely.
Just
Dio
a
was an
different
operatic
sound.
singer. You know what Ozzy was? Ozzy was a bloke.
Yeah.
Ozzy got into the band because his father bought him the PA. And then he just became Ozzy, man. And Ozzy was and still is an amazing being. I mean, when you really think about the fact that this guy is still kicking somehow, it's amazing, man. And the bass player Tony Iommi's still playing. And I mean the guitar player and the bass player Geezer Butler. So it's that shit's legacy, man.
Did you play with Leslie West? Did you ever play with Leslie?
Yeah, I knew Leslie. I got to meet Leslie in the early 90s. And because, being fat and having long frizzy hair.
You had an afro. We should show those pictures.
Leslie West. I did have an afro. Be like Leslie West, of course. So when I got to meet Leslie and become friends with him, and we stayed friends for about 10 or 15 years until he passed away, he was a great guy, man. He was really all heart. And he was from Queens, man.
I know. I didn't know that.
So another Queens boy. The Ramones, yeah.
I didn't know they were from Queens. And, did you ever do CBGBs? Did you know that scene, Teddy?
Yeah, early on, absolutely. I was part of that whole scene in the early 80s.
Did you ever play there, or you weren't, you were just breaking in?
No, I played there many times.
Wow. All right, go ahead.
It was
I kept you way too long. I was going to say, after I said CBGB, it just came. I said, did you ever do Manny's Car Wash?
All right, Craig, keep doing what you're doing, man. I love you. I was the house band at Manny's Car Wash. Yeah.
I love you, cuz.